Go ahead and share my screen here so you guys can see what we're working with. I'm assuming you're all logged on to learn about our numbers report. And now this year, our numbers report has changed. And this is for our grant. So the grant report that we turn in has changed, which is pretty exciting. It's a little bit more simple, if you will. And I'm really excited to explain how it's going to look. So let's kind of start at the beginning. Each active unified champion school is asked to complete 2 numbers reports, one in January and one in May. So that is one of the requirements that we ask when you sign on as a unified champion school. The forms typically are just put a number in each box, right? And that's very similar to this year, but there's also a couple other components to the questions that we'll review. So we get a little bit more in depth with this one, but it's a shorter form, which is really exciting. Here's how it's going to work from now on. Typically, when we receive the reports, some schools do cumulative from August, like they do August to January and then August through May. But a lot of our schools, many of our schools do August to January and then February through May when they turn in our reports. From here on out, we are asking that every single report follows this pattern. So the January numbers report will be August through January. Obviously, you can't guesstimate your numbers in February and we don't have them yet. So January report, August through January. The May numbers, we ask that they be cumulative of the whole year. So when you go to do your numbers report, if you can have a file saved on your computer or a Post-it note that you know you won't lose, something that you have those numbers that you utilized this time around, you have them going into the next one, because the numbers going into the May report should either be, well, hopefully, crossing all fingers, they're higher in every category, or they should be exactly the same as whatever you turn in this time around. So it will be accumulation of the year, just so you guys know. Are we ready to dive into the new information? Because I'm so excited to share it. All right. We're going to go through the report, and as you'll see through, there are some screenshots of the actual form, and I'm going to toss the, if you have 2 screens, and if I can find my chat feature, I'm going to toss the form into the chat for you guys just so you can see it.
Jillian, you can keep going. I'll do it.
Okay. Thank you. I actually just had it. So if you have the capabilities, please feel free to toss in. If not, or to follow the form. If not, that's okay. So getting started, we have the forms are connected to a database that we use called Salesforce. And so all of your schools should be connected as a UCS school in Salesforce. So you type in your school name and it should pre-populate. Once you get a couple letters, there'll be a list you can select from and you can choose your school. You're going to select the move on button. And once you click the move on button, you'll see the full numbers report and you'll see your school name. And that's when you're going to select which form you're filling out. And right now you are filling out the January report, or the first semester report is what we have it called in there. So you're going to select your first semester report and be ready to move on to the next question. So unified sports is our most in-depth topic. And it's our most in-depth topic because it's one of the biggest things we do. Special Olympics, at our core, we are a sports organization. So diving into that, here's how it's going to work. We've got your total number of competitive and player development experiences. With that, this is your students who participated in a competitive unified sport or a unified sport skills activity during the selected time frame. So whether it's the full year or the semester. So if you had a team participate in the unified soccer skills that we did, that would qualify here. If you had a team do a unified bocce virtual event, that would qualify here. If you went to a regional unified event within your region, that team would qualify here. Does that make sense? And moving forward, as we open back up, it'll be any unified sport or skill experience. So unified soccer, unified dance, unified bowling, any of those, basketball, bocce, any of those would qualify in this category. This is where our competitions go. So Jen, did you want to add something?
I was just going to also add those that are participating in a sanctioned esports events do not go into this category.
Yeah, no, they go into a category later on. Thank you very much for clarifying. So esports is counted, but we do have a category called unified activities that esports is going to fall under. And so that's where your esports teams will go. Right now, this is your on-field, on-court, usually some sort of ball included activity, just to kind of keep a reference for you. So the way that this is counted, an experience equals each competition, each player on your team attends, and each player on your team that participated throughout the season. So one season's worth of practices. So for each person on your team, if you go to one competition, each person on your team now has 2 experiences because they have your season of practice as one full experience and they have their competition as one full experience. Let's say you're it's unified soccer and it's our normal unified soccer season. And so your team goes to, you have your full season of practice. Let me make sure you can see my fingers. You have your full season of practice, you go to the regional event and you make it to state. So that's 3 experiences per person on your roster that attends those experiences. Okay, so the way that it'll add up, so you have 16 kids on your roster and 1 competition each. So you've got 16 plus 16 equals 32 experiences for the semester. Now, if you've got, in a normal year, we've got unified soccer, we've got bocce, we've got basketball, all taking place first semester. So you're going to include all 3 of those rosters, all 3 of those competitions if they happen. So basketball competitions would be counted in the next report, and any state competitions that they may advance to within that time frame. So keeping all those in mind, it's an all sports. So this is also your students with and without disabilities. So it's both partner and athlete all counted in one column. Okay. Any questions on the competitive sport development per player development experience column? Beautiful. Love it. If you have questions, please toss them into the chat as well, and I can answer them as we go. The next section is total PE experiences, unified PE experiences. So as you know, we have our unified PE curriculum and resource that's available. We have many schools who use that resource. We have many schools who have their own way of doing unified PE. This is where you will track those numbers. And so an experience in unified PE counts as 1 semester of unified PE per student equals 1 experience. So if your roster, you have 1 unified PE class that it's an application process, that's how it becomes your class. 20 kids are in that class and that roster 1 semester, 20. So now going into next semester, you grow and you have 2 unified PE classes. You're going to take that 20 and then you've got 40 for the next semester. So it'll be a total of 60 in May, right? Because we're going to accumulate through the year. So keeping all of that in mind. Unified PE is pretty cut and dry. It's 1 experience per student per semester. Going to unified fitness or fitness experiences, because there's a lot of different offerings. This is any unified fitness club if you're a part of the virtual unified fitness or any fitness group that your school has started. Any fitness group that your school has started, you can count that as long as it's unified. So I know a couple of schools have like a walking group where they all virtually chat in their walking group and they walk for a certain amount of time. You know, that could be a virtual fitness opportunity that you could count. So this is an experience equals each activity or club a student participates in. So you've got your unified fitness club and you do virtual unified fitness with us. That's 1 experience per student on your roster, but you also have your walking club. So that's 1 experience per student on that roster. Even if it's the same roster, but it's 2 different clubs, you're calling it 2 different things, 2 different leads, you know, 2 different lead teachers, right? You can count it twice. And so as you can see in the example, 10 students on the unified fitness, 10 students in the walking club equals 20 experiences for the semester. This is in this area particularly, it's going to help if you have your notes on how you get your numbers so that when you go to do it again in May, you know how you counted it for first semester. So having a running document or something where you're tracking what you're counting, that's really going to help you going into May because it's cumulative, and B, it's a good reminder of how you counted it. Also on the form, there's explanations on how to do all this on the form as well to help you. Okay, so unified sports, this is, we've got 3 more columns here. So the unified activity experiences, this is where your
Well, for the
esports.
unified fitness,
Yeah,
what if they're doing the workouts within like the PE class?
so they're doing both unified PE and unified fitness still?
Yeah.
Your students understand that there's 2 different things happening in one class?
Yeah, I mean, so we've been doing like the unified fitness workouts in our PE class.
Count them as both.
Okay.
Yeah. They're doing both. Because Stacey, you guys have an application process to get into unified fitness, right? Or unified
Yeah.
PE?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 different, I would count them twice.
Okay.
You're awesome, Stacy.
She sure is. So the unified activity experiences. So there's a lot of activities that go on in schools that aren't necessarily leadership, right? But our former numbers report didn't tabulate those anywhere. It was sports, it was leadership, and it was whole school engagement. So what about those activities like art club or band or theater that it's not really a leadership activity, but it's not really a sport either. And so now we're tracking that. And that's where your esports numbers will go. So if you have a sanctioned esports club, or if you have a group that regularly participates in our esport leagues, that's where these numbers will go. So I know Homewood Flossmoor has at least 1 pair, right, Jen? 1 pair that regularly participates. So Katie Rice, you're always going to put at least 2, or probably more than that, because how many competitions has Stephanie participated in this semester? But keeping that in mind, you want to incorporate those esports components, and then any other activity that's unified. So if you've got a robotics club or art, I know Richards High School has like their up and coming unified art club or unified cooking club or anything like that that's unified. It may not even have the word unified in it, but if you've got kids with ID or kids with disabilities in band or in theater or getting involved in your choir or anything like that can be counted in this activity category. So an experience is each club or class a student participates in. So that's 1. And then once again, just like the sports, any competitions or events or shows that they participate in. So thinking of it as the semester of participation in that club is 1 experience. And then anything above their normal experience would be an additional experience. So we've got 6 students in unified esports that competed in this winter league, and we've got 12 students in unified art. So we've got 12 experiences through esports because of the competition, and we've got 12 experiences in unified art. So it's gonna be 24 experiences total. Jen, would you like them to count? So the winter league was 3 weeks of competition. Would you like that to count them as 3 competitions?
Yeah, they're individual because it's different sports that they have done. So for those of you guys that might be doing the NFHS one coming up, that's 8 weeks of 1 event, 8 weeks of 1 sport. That's 1 part leading up to it. That league part is 1 experience, and then the competition at the end is also 1 experience.
So that's something to keep in mind. Moving forward, most of our esport leagues are 3 weeks. There's 3 different games or sports that they would compete in. And so if you have a sanctioned esports group, or if you know Katie Rice has at least 1 pair that does every single league, she's going to count that as that's 2 kids, 3 competitions. So that's 3 competitions, 2 kids, that's 6, plus they're regularly training in their own capacity. She could count that as 8 if she wanted to consider those 2 a sanctioned unified esports team. So just to consider the activity component, this is new. The activity component is brand new area that we're tracking this year. Young athletes experience, I'm going to go over this one. Jen, did you have something you wanted to add? I'm sorry.
I just like background for this, you guys, we're not getting an accurate picture of all the awesome things you're doing. And so that's why this was changed, because when we turn in our numbers, it does not reflect like how awesome all of you are. And so that's why we're just trying to be able to capture that information in a way that we can really show all the awesome opportunities that are being offered at each one of our schools. And that's really what the concept behind all of this.
100%. And the best part is it's not just us in Illinois that have said that. There's other states that are like, this numbers report just doesn't depict exactly what our schools are doing, and our schools are going above and beyond. So it's just I'm really excited. And you'll see as we go through the inclusive youth leadership, just how open this form has become.
I need to call Corbin. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. So young athletes experiences. So this is your students involved in the young athletes program by semester. An experience is 1 semester of young athletes training. So the semester that your students are actively and knowingly participating in young athletes. And then it's per student, and then any demo, event, culminating event, celebration, anything where they're utilizing those skills that they practice through young athletes. So 20 students on your young athletes roster for first semester, and 1 culminating event or field day. It's going to be 20 equals 40. Some schools have 6 different rosters that they turn in for young athletes because their whole first grade does it. That's fine. Count every single one of those rosters for that semester that they are actively training. So that number should not be small, I guess is what I'm trying to say, depending on where you're at. But it should be realistic of what's happening within your school in that semester or over the course of the year. The young athletes Head Start only. So if you are working in a Head Start program, I'm not sure, I think we might, if we have any, it's 1 Head Start program. But that is where your numbers will go if you have a Head Start program that you're working with young athletes. It's the same exact process, just Head Start focused. We do have a national letter of understanding or memorandum of understanding with Head Start. And so I think that's why they're keeping those numbers separate. Any questions on this page before I dive forward?
Jillian, I'll just add to everyone that there was a comment in the chat about not being sure. We're happy to schedule time with any of you to go through and we can do your numbers report with you and have conversations about it to just try to help you get in the flow of it. We're not asking you to take attendance at every single event and to keep running lists of everything. This is your best guess. It's not meant for things to come and add hours and hours of work to you. Our hope is that this numbers report takes you still 5 to 10 minutes to complete at the end of the semester. You may have 1 sheet of paper where you have a running list of things you've done just to kind of refresh your mind so that you don't forget about things. You can, it's just, whatever way is easier for you, but you can also jump on our office hours that happen every Thursday at 10 o'clock. And we can, work through it during that time as well. So just wanted to offer those as opportunities if you're feeling like this is a lot.
Absolutely, 100%. We're always available, or we do our best to make ourselves available to you guys. Another thing I want to add with COVID, we understand that your numbers aren't going to be perfect. We understand that they're going to be ever fluctuating based on what's available and what resources are available to you in your school, in your region, as things are happening. So that is not like, if your numbers are zeros right now because you literally, like your school was like, no, we're doing no clubs, we're doing nothing, that's okay. We just want to see them grow moving forward, whether it's in May or whether it's next January. The effort putting in is all that we ask for. It's all we have ever asked for. So, Patrick, did you have a question?
Yeah. Is there a certain number we have to meet each year, in terms of experiences? Okay, cool.
Nope. So we ask you to fill out the commitment letter, right? And in that commitment letter, I think when we spoke, it's what you're going to try to do this year. And it's what you're interested in learning more about or trying to advance through. We're never going to come back and be like, you didn't meet your numbers, you're out. It's not how we work. We know that every year changes. We know that every year is a fluctuation. Specifically now with COVID, we're very flexible. We also are here if there's something that you're like, oh, I was supposed to do that. How do I make that happen? Just reach out. We're happy to work with you guys. Make anything happen that you'd like happen. And we're here for that. And Jen has done it all. So she's been a great resource. And anything you want to make happen. No minimum numbers. We accept reports that are zeros. Usually if I get one from a newer school, I'll reach out and be like, hey, what's going on? How can I help? Is it COVID related? Is it, have you created your leadership team yet? Things like that. And just to kind of throw it out there, having that leadership team helping you guys fill out the reports is great. So if you only do sports, having that person that's helping collect the inclusive youth leadership numbers and then the whole school engagement numbers, and having a group of people collaborate is really helpful too, so that you're not trying to figure out all the numbers in your head in one sitting. Just shameless plug for the leadership team creation across the board. So let's move on to the next portion. So this is where it gets more into like the nitty gritty of what are you doing. On our form, they're going to ask you what fitness models and or resources have been implemented. Are you using the Fit 5, the Fit Families and Friends School of Strength, SoFit, or the Unified Fitness Club, or other? Other would be like, we're not really doing this. So you can leave it blank. You don't have to select anything. If you are participating in our virtual Unified Fitness, that counts as a Unified Fitness Club. So you're going to select that button. When it goes to other activities, again, you could leave this one blank. So your MATP, Unified Arts, that would be like an art class, band, theater, Unified Esports, robotics, other. Again, if you're not sure what activities are unified, you can leave that blank. If you don't think you have any right now, you can leave that blank. If you have other, we might reach out to you and ask what you have unified going on so we can share it with some of our other schools. The one thing I do ask that you select and you do not leave blank is your, if you're doing anything, your unified sports delivery method. So please select and tell us, are you doing it in person? Are you virtual right now, or are you hybrid? This is just going to help us be able to relay that information to our grant people and to just SONA, and let them know this is where our state is at our midterm. We're hybrid, we're virtual. This is kind of where our schools are falling across the board. So if you have any numbers to put in the unified sports component, just let us know where you're at with that. That would be a huge help. That is it for the unified sports section. Do we have any questions before I move on to inclusive youth leadership?
For the fitness models and resources I see on there, like we do the workouts that you send out each week. Is that the Fit 5 or the SoFit? I guess I don't know.
So the workouts I send out each week, which Stacey, you'll get that email this afternoon after this, that is the Unified Fitness Club. It's virtual Unified Fitness.
Okay.
And we count that under our Unified Fitness Club model.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're a part of our virtual Unified Fitness with our Monday workouts and the 5 workouts a week, that would be a Unified Fitness Club that we run, that we assist you guys in running. All right. Inclusive youth leadership. This one only has 2 sections. It's pretty easy. Total number of inclusive youth leadership athlete experiences and total number of inclusive youth leadership partner experiences. They run down the same exact way. It's just counting athletes and partners separately. So the athlete is any student with an intellectual disability in your school, in school-based leadership clubs like Club Unify or whatever your club may call it, or whatever your school may call it. I've heard Hawk Pals, a lot of different club names out there, but whatever your unified club is. Best Buddies, Student Council. There was one school I met with that had a respect club that they were working on unifying in addition to their Club Unify. And the club's focus was all about respect across your school. So different things like that, whatever clubs or activities you have in your school that promote leadership abilities, that's where this would be tabulated. And an experience is one student with an intellectual disability in each club per semester, in addition to any extra activities that club may host. So you have your Club Unify and they host Respect Week or Respect Rally. That's going to be 2 experiences. So if we go to my example here, we've got 10 students with ID in Club Unify, and they host 3 virtual game nights in addition to their club meetings. And then we have 6 students with ID on Student Council, and Student Council this semester has been killing it. And they host 1 fundraiser and 2 virtual social nights in addition to their normal meetings. So that's 10 students times 4 because they're regular club attendance and 3 additional activities. And then 6 students times 4, regular club attendance, 3 additional activities. So that's a total of 64 experiences in your inclusive youth leadership within your school. Now, this is also where you tabulate your youth activation committee kids or kids that attended our summit. So if your students only attended summit, that is 1 experience for every student that attended that summit. If you have students on our youth activation committee, that is 2 experiences for every student on our youth activation committee that attended summit and were on our committee. Now, if you're a high school pair on our committee, it's 3 because they have the high school leadership certification, summit, and being a part of our committee. Does that make sense? Awesome. So the same goes for the partners. So you're going to take those rosters of your unified clubs and you're going to, obviously, we've got our athletes, we've got our partners, same exact process. This is the number of partners on our roster. And for being a part of the club, they get 1 experience. And for any additional activity, they get 1 experience. So students without ID in Club Unify, they had 3 virtual game nights. Students without ID, or 10 students without ID on student council, 3 additional activities. So 10 students, 4 events. Total for that one is going to be 80 experiences. Does that make sense? This is it. So in the past, our inclusive youth leadership has been a bunch of different columns like best buddies and summit and all these different things. This is it. This is all we look for. And then what you'll do is you'll go to the next page and you'll look at this. So we've got best buddies, student counselor, honor society. So if you've got NHS or NJHS or junior national honor society, a unified club, youth activation committee, anybody who's attended summit, that's going to be an other. That is on our national form. That is not an option for inclusive youth leadership, but we're going to add it as an other. Another thing to consider, if you have students in your school who put together and plan a team for the polar plunge, their leadership in putting together and planning that polar plunge team is an inclusive youth leadership experience. Their attendance at the plunge is a whole school experience. Okay, so that is one thing we just have to differentiate. According to the national form, that's how they would like to separate that. So the leaders of your team, the students that might be participating in that team, you can count them next semester as an inclusive youth leadership experience because they put together that team and they did the fundraising for it. If you have students plunging, attending the plunge itself would count as a whole school engagement experience. So just to differentiate on that. Once again, we ask that if you put numbers in this column, you are telling us how you have implemented this. So this is going to, again, help us just report and us to track where our schools are at. So in-person, virtual, or hybrid, which would be both. Any questions or comments on the inclusive youth leadership section? Beautiful. Yeah, I told you it's really easy this time. There's not a whole lot of extra columns or anything. So whole school engagement. They have done their best to make this as easy as possible for everybody because I go to assemblies all the time and I couldn't tell you what percentage of the school population's in attendance. I don't know. And I'm sure you guys as teachers even are sitting in assemblies or in virtual like outings or whatever. And you're like, I couldn't tell you. I can't say that's 80% because I don't know. So one thing that our national staff have done is, so whole school engagement is a cumulative count of students attending whole school activities where unified sports programmings, activities are being promoted. So if it's an assembly where your unified basketball team is being honored, or an award ceremony where your YAC students are being honored, or respect events, pep rallies, anything like that, polar plunges, again, that counts. So anything where unification is brought up, recognized within your school would count as a whole school experience. If you do any unified lesson plans, I know we sent out some, like the unified classroom for our Spirit Week, and we're going to send out some more unified lesson plans for Respect Week. Anything like that would count in your whole school engagement as well. So there's 2 ways we can do this. You could turn in your estimated numbers, your I was at this pep rally and I saw about 75% of our population there. So I'm going to put this number in. You could do that for every single one of those events and that would count. The other option is you enter in how many components you have signed up for or you're striving towards. I will tell you about 70% of our schools sign up as 3-component schools. Is that what's implemented every year? Maybe not. Things happen. We understand that. But you would recognize yourself as a 3-component school and you would put in about 75% of your school population for each whole school event implemented. So first semester, you had a welcome back virtual assembly and you recognized all the clubs, one of them being Club Unify. Great. Then you also had a kindness challenge that focused on unification and inclusion. So that's 2. And then you had, you participated in our Spirit Week for National Inclusive Schools Week. So that's 3. So you're going to take 75% of your school population because you're a 3-component school and you're going to multiply that number by 3 and that's going to be your whole school engagement number. So they try really hard to make this as easy as possible for you guys. If you are a national banner recognized school, you would be 100% of your school population for every single event. If you are a 1-component school, which we have very few, it would be 25%, 2 components would be 50%. So it kind of gives us a rounded about number of how many students are actually getting something out of that experience based on full implementation across the board. What are you doing? Things like that. If you do not feel that that would be an accurate representation of your school's engagement, you can do your own number. You do not have to utilize this system. This is there to assist you and to also just give us, if you choose to use it, give us a well-rounded estimation of where we're at, because there is no way to really track it without sitting there with a counter, and that's not realistic. Any questions on this portion of whole school engagement? Beautiful. Yeah, it's super simple. Just to kind of move through, once again, you're going to select everything you participate in, plunge or other fundraisers. So if you do a Change for Champions, if you do a Miracle Minute, that counts as a whole school engagement activity. School-wide spread the word, our word pledge drive. So if you do the respect banner signing, if you do any, I would say if you do 5 days of a respect week, whether it be virtual or in person, each day counts as a whole school engagement. Jen, would you like to agree with that? Yeah. So if you have a 5-day respect week, each day is a whole school engagement. So next semester, let's say, unfortunately, we're virtual now, but we're going to go back. And once we're back in person, things run away from you, but you're able to get 5 days of a virtual respect week. So your number would be, you're a 3-component school. It would be 75% of your population times 5. That's going to be a really good representation of engagement and experiences. So you're going to check your boxes. If there's anything you've done whole school experience wise that's not listed, feel free to check that box. The unified lesson plans, I think that unified classroom we sent out, plus the ones we'll send out this semester, would be an other, just to give you an idea. And then once again, your model, your delivery method, virtual, in-person, hybrid, how are things working for you right now? Pretty simple. And then you click submit form and everybody's happy because it's off your plate, it's onto my plate, and we can move on. I think, yeah, that's about it. If that's about the rundown of our form. Jen, do you have anything?
Jillian, when
you'd
they
like
hit
to add?
submit, will they get a copy of what they submitted?
I don't believe so. Right now, we're working to make sure that I get a copy of what's submitted and it's in Salesforce. Whatever they submit will be in Salesforce and it will log in Salesforce. So come May, we could send out what was sent to us, but I'd have to work with Andrew to figure out the technical side of that. So that's what I was saying. Like if you have a leadership team and you're working with different people, if you could save those numbers moving into the cumulative side, knowing that in May you need to use the same numbers from first semester and try to build on them, it'll be easier for everybody. But if not, we can try to figure out another way to make it easy for you guys. Any other questions or comments or concerns about the new form?
I think as you sign off, Jillian, it might just be helpful so that people can bring up the form, or if you want to show it on your screen. That
Yeah,
way
I can
it's
show it.
sign off that it's showing there, but Unless you guys have questions, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, if you'd like to stay on for a minute, I'll pull up the form real fast and we can go through it just so you can see what it looks like. Or you can choose to run through it on your own. It's completely up to you. I've got it pulled up here. I'm going to work with, I see Stacy's still on, so I'm going to work with Limestone. And so you see Limestone Community High School pre-populates, you click it and you move on. And so as I said, the explanations are all right here. We're gonna go with first semester. And I know she's got unified PE. And the explanations on how to count that are all right here underneath. I know she's got unified fitness. I'm sure she's got some unified activities. And then we're gonna go here. We know she does this. We know she does PE, which fitness model. So, okay. Activities, other, and Stacy, you're virtual, right? Or no, you're or hybrid. Hybrid. Okay. So that's all filled out right there. I'm going to put the numbers in where they would go. I'm not going to try to guess your numbers. Youth leadership. And like I said, the explanation that was in the PowerPoint is all right here on the paperwork for you as well. It even has the note to remind you that the polar plunge experience, actually attending the plunge, or even if you do your plunge at home, that experience itself counts as a whole school engagement, and the planning of the team counts as youth leadership. So they are separating that out for you. Put your numbers here. Obviously, these would be separated, athletes versus partners, and then you select your experiences. So I know that you attended Summit, Stacy. Do you have a unified club?
Yeah.
I thought so. Okay. So we'll do those two because those are the two that I know. And you are hybrid. And then finally, our whole school engagement. And once again, those percentages are explained right here for you. So you can go ahead and put in the number. Oh, it's even when you click on the box, it's there for you too. Andrew went above and beyond for us. He did both. So Stacy is a 3-component school. And so hers is going to be 75% of her school population for each activity implemented. So I don't know your school population, Stacy, but just to kind of give you guys a reference, it's all right here for you. It's explained for you on the document as well to make this as easy as possible. And then you select what you did. So I'm going to say she did our Spirit Week. So we're going to call it a Respect Week. And we know that was virtual, or I'm sorry, hybrid. So we did our best to make it as clear as possible. If you go through this process with your school and for some reason your school doesn't come up on the list, please email me and I'll get that rectified on our end. It'll be super easy actually. And then also if you see anything that's just not making sense, I know we've got some veteran teachers on here. We've got some new teachers on here. So knowing it's a new form, knowing that you all have different experiences with this program or strategy, I should say, if there's anything on here that we can change or alter to make it more clear or easier for you guys to do, let me know. And we will be able to do that for you pretty quickly, actually. So yeah, that's.
Did you guys send the link to us?
I can toss it in the chat really fast. I put it in there earlier. I'm also going to be sending the link out with this recording later this afternoon to everybody on our list. So you'll have that link. It's also on our UCS page with our Special Olympics Illinois. So if you go to Special Olympics Illinois and then off field Unified Champion Schools, the link will always be there as well.
All right.
So any links that you guys are looking for, any documents you're looking for, whether it be our permission slip, the outreach opportunity links, which those are reopened if you'd like to apply, all that stuff. If you go to SOILL.org and then you hover over the off the field, you can select Unified Champion Schools and the outreach opportunities are there. The numbers report document, the school commitment letter, where our YAC, our Youth Activation Committee applications are always on there come April. Every permission slips in both English and Spanish. Any document that you need, usually the link will be right there for you. So that's pretty cut and dry there. Yeah. Any other questions about our numbers report form or anything else that we can help you with? Wonderful. Thank you guys all so much for attending. I know going over numbers reports is like watching paint dry. So I appreciate your time and your attentiveness. And if there's anything we can ever do to help you, like Jen said, our office hours are Thursdays from 10 to 11. The link is always in our newsletters, but if you need it, just shoot us an email and we'll send it over. And we're happy to help you if you need help filling out your numbers report. So just give us a call, shoot us an email. We'll schedule a time with you to sit down and go over the process and discuss your school's experiences and what it would look like in this form. So thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. And again, Happy New Year. It's great to see your faces.